It's a pretty windy day today, so I apologize for any wind noise in advance. You might notice that I've harvested the final little bit of ornamental corn, and let me show you that before we look at the rest of the garden. Those are the ones that felt like they had something in them, so I'm going to go ahead and unwrap those and we'll see what we got. Here's what we ended up with, and then we had a couple that didn't hardly have any pollination at all. So we got some pretty good variety here. This one didn't pollinate very well. It's got a lot of almost normal corn color, and this one's like a deep, dark blood red. It's just really dark. And some of those have dents in them, kind of like dent corn. Then this one is a lot of bright orange. This one almost looks like it could have been cross-pollinated with glass gem corn, but it's got a few seeds that are kind of striped. This one's all mixed up, and this one has a whole bunch of these individual seeds. I'll get in close here where we can see them. They've got like striping on the individual seeds. I've seen that before, but not quite as much on one ear of corn as this one has. So I think that's kind of interesting. And here's another couple that could have been cross-pollinated with the glass gem corn. I'm just going by the colors. And then here's a ear of glass gem corn, so you can get a comparison for the size. They are bigger than the glass gem corn. But just on the spur of the moment, without thinking about it too much, what I'm interested in, maybe planting again, carrying over to next year, is maybe some of this, and some of this. That's what seems to be interesting to look at as far as I'm concerned. This one almost has some striping in the seeds. It's so dark you can't see it. I don't know if that'll show up on the camera or not. I'm seeing a little bit of it in there. But let me know what you think. Which one of these is your favorite of the ones I'm looking at here? Ones that look like the glass gem corn. This one here with the stripes. The red and orange. Or the dark blood red. We'll just start down here on this end. This is the grow bag with lettuce in it. It's doing pretty well. It's got a little bit of Swiss chard and a little bit of spinach in it, but we'll be able to make some nice salads out of this, and I'm going to see how long I can keep it going. I did add some fertilizer to this since I had a tomato in this grow bag earlier this year. So we're getting a couple of crops out of the one grow bag. Then over here I have my ornamental peppers, and some of those are starting to ripen, and I've been saving seeds here and there. This is a fish pepper with variegated foliage. They're kind of pretty. This is Santa Fe Grande. It's not an ornamental. I've been picking some of those, pickled some. This explosive ember, really pretty with the dark foliage and red peppers on it and purple peppers. And I was asked recently if the ornamental peppers were edible, and a lot of ornamental peppers, or maybe even most ornamental peppers, are edible, but they have a tendency to be on the hot side, so I usually just use them as ornamentals because I'm not a hot pepper type of person. Over here we have what appears to be just overgrown foliage, and a lot of this right here is the basil. Just notice I have an eggplant I need to remove. This eggplant is from the long purple graft that I did on this Ichabod 2. That's perfect for saving seeds, but I really don't need the seeds, so that'll go in the compost. The eggplants are doing great, the ones that I trimmed back. Let me look in here. We're going to get some pretty good laid eggplants. Lots of blooms. This is Matoyo here. It's got some little ones and lots of blooms. We're going to get lots of late eggplants. The Rosita over here, it's just a little bit behind those other two. Then we have more basil that's overgrown, letting a couple go to seed here. The cinnamon basil's kind of pretty, and this stuff really grows well in our garden. There's a little pollinator working it. But this pepper here is a Buena Mulata. It's got the purple peppers on it. Just used some of those in a green sauce recently. And this pepper, cayenne pepper, is a volunteer, and I think I'm going to be drying some of those soon. There's that Chinese 5-color pepper grafted onto a hybrid. I did have a Buena Mulata grafted on there too, but it kind of broke off in the wind. There's a lot prettier fish pepper there. Foliage on that looks awesome. It's getting harder to find a way through this mess. But I showed in the last update these poblano peppers are still producing a lot. Then over here, get back in here, we can see some of these ghost peppers. There's a bunch of them ready to pick right now. I need to get on that because wow. Let me get over here where I can lift this up, if I can lift it up. The ghost pepper and the poblano kind of invading each other's space. Whoops, I just broke a limb. I better be careful. But look at all those ghost peppers. Got some over in there too. If I can get out of here. There's a yacon. Some basil I'm letting go to seed. I'm going to be drying some of that soon. Got a dehydrator. I might do a video on that, not sure. Got some carrots I need to harvest one of these days. Been keeping an eye on them. And then I have some long purples that are ready to pick right now. I'll probably do some harvesting later today. I've got quite a few things back here that need to be picked, especially peppers. I got lots of peppers. This Matoyo here is going to be producing some late eggplants. Saving seeds from this hybrid here. It's got some ones that are ready right now. There's the back side of the one straw bale. I've got some Swiss chard and cilantro and a little bit of lettuce in it. And as you can see, that sweet potato vines are everywhere. While I'm back here, I'll just show you these peppers. I've been freezing, drying a few. This is the Courbaki. Those are really good tasting peppers when they're red. Buena Mulatas, getting a lot of color on them. I've been saving a few seeds from those. We haven't used a whole lot of those. The Chinese 5-color peppers are getting a lot of color. And then there's another Courbaki there. Some lettuce I have over there. Then I have this white tomaso back here by the fence. I just made some BLTs with those the other day. Those were real good. Now we're on the back side. I'll be drying a bunch of herbs. Got a little cilantro planted down there. There's that ginger root that's growing. Then this shows you a little bit of the extreme amount of variegation on the fish pepper. Sometimes they're very variable. This has got a lot of white on it, whereas some of the same plant has very little. So it's kind of random in how it has variegation. I probably need to cut some of that sage back. The horseradish isn't looking all that great, but it'll be alright. I cut it back several times this year. Oregano's really perking up now that fall's approaching. Got some garlic chives growing there. Let's go on the other side. While I'm here, I had a whole big old giant clump of small cucumber plants that came up where I left a cucumber, and I'm going to let those grow. I don't think they're going to have time to produce any, but we'll find out. I have to mention over here where I had my zinnias, I saved some seeds, and this is a second generation, and I'm hoping to maybe get some seeds before frost, see what these look like. And while I'm talking about second generation, I've got this little pepper over here. I saved some seeds from one of my hybrids, and that's what this is, from one of those seeds. And it's starting to get a couple of blooms forming, so I'm hoping to get a second generation and see what those hybrids are going to produce. And if it doesn't have time to produce a pepper, I'll probably take this one indoors. And here's a look at all the sweet potato foliage. The eggplants and the peppers and those two straw bales. You can't see the straw bales anymore. Lots of sweet potato foliage. There's a pink banana you can barely see in that tomato cage. That petunia, I weed eated, and it's looking kind of rough, but it's starting to perk up a little. The eggplants in that straw bale produced a lot of eggplants. There's that black pearl, you can barely see it back there. Chinese 5-color, pepper, sangria. Got some beetroot planted in that grow bag. Don't know if it'll have time to make anything. In those last two grow bags, I got some radishes and lettuce. I need to thin that out. It's way too thick. And then, if I can keep from looking at the sun directly, there's a look at the banana tree. I would say it's over 10 feet tall now. Then we got some pretty canna flowers. Yellow one's really tall. It's almost 6 feet tall. And it's really grown compared to some of the others. That yellow one is really aggressive at growing. But that's just a look at what we have going in the part that we've looked at a lot. And I have a few odd and ends down at the other end. Let's just go down there and take a look while we're out here. There's that naranjilla that I stuck over here in the spring. It hasn't produced any fruit. Last year I had lots of fruit on when it froze, but none of it ripened. I'm not going to grow it again. Just not going to work in my zone. Just one of those things. I like a challenge. Sometimes I learn things the hard way. This is a Japanese morning glory. These things are really beautiful. I don't know how well you can see the colors on the camera, but they're really pretty. It doesn't climb as well as a regular morning glory. Well, here's a regular morning glory side by side. There's the Japanese type and the one that came up by itself. I'll be pulling these out soon because I really don't want them to drop a lot of seeds here that I'll have to pull up next year. This passion flower hasn't produced a flower, so I probably won't be growing it again either. I never had grown it before. It produced a lot of vine, but not a single flower yet. Doesn't look like it's going to either. And then I had a bunch of odd and ends seedlings that I had no place for and couldn't find a home for, so I stuck them back here in the corner, and they're just kind of growing wild back here. Haven't really produced anything, but I see that little eggplant there. It's got a small eggplant on it, so we'll at least get something from this area back here. Then I transplanted a couple milkweed, and this one looks like it's going to be just fine. Then we got a couple of random pepper plants that are finally starting to bloom. I think they might produce something before frost gets it, but we'll see. That's a quick look at what we have left. Let me know how your garden's doing. I'd like to hear about it. It's always good to hear how other folks are doing. And if you're just now finding this channel and you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. Otherwise, like, comment, and share. We'll see you next time.